All right, so welcome into the Newport This Week video podcast series. I'm Bill Bartholomew. This is a really cool story that we're discussing this week, and I will begin by reading from the paper from this week's edition of Newport This Week. The headline, Learning the Art of Composting. 2 events to raise awareness about environmentalism and teach affordable composting techniques are being held by a sophomore at East Bay Met High School. That's over in essentially Newport North near CCRI for anybody who's unfamiliar with the location of that, right near Fab Newport. And it's a great school, no question about it. Bella Quiroa, misspelled in the paper, by the way, Bella's internship at Clean Water Access inspired her to organize events to address the lack of accessible resources in the community. The first event, held June 4th, was in Spanish, and the upcoming event will take place on June 11th at 5 p.m. at St. Joseph's Church. The presentations aim to bridge the knowledge and resource gap in composting. This is great stuff, and thank you both for hopping on. We're also joined by Sarah Lavalle. Did I pronounce that correctly? I know we just did a run through of the pronunciation. I don't think I did. Tell me.
It's Lavalle.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Run through, I find a way to make a mistake. But tell us about this program, because it's so cool, and it's such an important area of not only from an environmental and ecosystem and sustainability standpoint, but also just from a hands-on project management standpoint. Tell us about what's happening here.
Yeah, I'll do like a quick background about like Healthy Soils, Healthy Seas, which is the project that Bella focuses on here at Clean Ocean Access, and then I'm going to let her describe her project with St. Joseph's Church.
Okay, you disappeared into the water, which is like interesting because like we have the background on, so it's kind of like I'm almost like, are you guys part human, part ocean? What's happening here? But you are there. Good. Okay, just wanted to make sure.
Just disappeared or something. So Healthy Soils, Healthy Seas is an initiative here at Clean Ocean Access. It's our composting initiative. So we are looking to promote residential composting, getting more people to start composting at home. We also have a school lunchroom composting program. So we're getting schools started composting in their lunchroom and diverting waste from the landfill there. And then we also have a community science program. So residents that are composting at home are collecting data for us, and we're just trying to get a more robust representation of household waste in the state of Rhode Island to better inform further waste management policy as those changes are being made. And then we also have a event sustainability consulting service, and we're helping local events, public and private, to make their events more sustainable and yeah, start composting at those events too. And I'll let Bella talk about her project.
Yeah, let's hear about the actual projects and the events themselves.
Yeah, so really my project did like derive from like all the work that I've been doing at my internship with Sarah, like doing these presentations in communities. And I was thinking about how I could kind of incorporate that into my project work, because at the Met, we have to complete like a few projects during the year. And it was really interesting because around the same time I was developing this project in school, we were like looking into a lot of Martin Luther King's work, and we were looking into like his last like kind of speech, which was during like a sanitation workers protest. And that really connected to like environmental injustice. So then I started going deeper into this idea of like environmental injustice and how like there are ways that like marginalized communities are like impacted differently by the environment, and like they're just put in these situations where they don't have as many accessible resources, and they're like in these bad environmental situations. So I kind of connected that to the presentations that we've been doing at my internship, and found a way to kind of give more resources to those in Newport about composting, which is like amazing. And we found this like affordable way to start composting, which was with a 5-gallon bucket. So then I started creating this presentation like workshop thing where we could teach people how to start composting and teach them basically about the idea of environmentalism and we are able to like donate all these buckets to them because I was like reached out to like a lot of organizations and stuff, and like Home Depot, like Ace Hardware's around the state, and we got a bunch of buckets, so we're going to be donating those.
I love it. I love how you just, you're so resourceful with it. And I read from the article in the paper, by fostering community and collaboration, you, Bella, to inspire individuals to embrace composting as a simple yet effective step toward environmental stewardship. That is such a perfect synopsis of this project. It's a simple but important step towards environmental stewardship. What have you learned about the correlation between environmental stewardship and, just your general approach to the world around you? What is this beyond composting? What have you learned that you can take to your day-to-day life?
Well, there are a lot of ways that we can kind of start living differently to be more environmentally conscious. And although it is difficult at times because we kind of live in this world that isn't really set, or at least in America, like not really made in a way that can help us be more environmentally conscious. Like there are systems in place that it's easier for us to, for example, just throw out all of our trash instead of taking the time to sort everything. So we kind of just have to find those little ways that we can just end up being more environmentally conscious, because really in the long run, it will help our environment, and it's just little changes that we can do, and they really have a big impact.
Really great stuff. Sarah, I wonder, looking at your background, you served some time in AmeriCorps, and I wonder some of the things that you've learned on the road serving in other places. What have you taken back to our beloved Aquidneck Island community that you're deploying in projects such as this one?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. So my first year of AmeriCorps was in New London, Connecticut, and I taught STEM education to kiddos in New London. And the organization I served with was marine science based. So like that's where most of our lessons were coming from, like from a marine science perspective. And then my second year, I moved up to Maine in this rural town, and I started a school garden there. And so I learned a lot about gardening and composting there. So I feel like coming into this position, it just kind of like mashed my two AmeriCorps positions into what Clean Ocean Access does, because we are connecting the idea that ocean health starts on land and it starts with soil, and composting is an amazing way to keep both our soils and our seas healthy.
Yeah, no, that's really spectacular. I think that there's something really special about taking ideas from, this is nothing novel. This is how ideas have been exchanged since the beginning of time, really, but taking ideas, see what works in other places, and then take them back to another community, perhaps in this case, Aquidneck Island. And it seems like you, as sort of the, again, to use that word, steward of this program, you're able to sort of stimulate a higher level of thinking and engagement in a project such as Bella's. Does that give you satisfaction? I'm sure it does. It's kind of a ridiculous question, but talk about the satisfaction that I assume that brings you.
Yeah, and like I definitely from like AmeriCorps years got an idea of like how to inspire young people and work with schools and teachers in the community and families. And Bella's amazing. She, I can't believe she's only a sophomore in high school. She has more years with us, which is amazing. I want to keep her forever. And she has been doing an amazing job, and obviously very, very happy with everything she does here. And I love her product idea. It's been great to help her with this.
It's really great stuff. Last question, Bella. So how can people get involved in supporting what you're doing or some of the projects and events that you have coming up? Give us the rundown, if you will.
Yeah, so I think really I would love if just people could come to this upcoming presentation with their families to kind of learn about this, because we do have a lot of buckets left, like about as many buckets that could be provided for like over 20 families that could bring a compost bucket home, and really also just kind of thinking about everything that we're discussing and kind of exploring ways that they can incorporate environmentalism into their lives, or at least just look into it and see what different perspectives and ways that they can change things in their lives.
Yeah, really well said. Excellent work. Much appreciated. And, you know, the community around you is grateful for the work that you're doing. There's no question about it. Both you, Bella, and Sarah. It's great stuff. You're rock stars, and thanks for doing the work.
Thanks, Phil. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, pleasure.